Hi, my name is Ethan, and I don't categorize my identity through simply a place, but rather a group of people that makes a place a home. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up due to extraneous circumstances, as well as people just being awful. I still went to youth, and eventually through young adults. Through young adults, some of my leaders became some of my closest friends. My life continued through two young adults groups, and even though I'll only focus on one, these two groups of people truly exemplify the definition of home being what you make of it. After my parents' divorce, I moved away from the house that I would consider to be my conventional home. It's where I grew up for the majority of my formative life. I had some not exactly wonderful interpersonal experiences throughout primary and secondary school, so that also sullied my opinion of Morden and Winkler. If you asked me to define Morden and Winkler just based on my experiences, I wouldn't describe it terribly fondly. However, moving past that, I learned to appreciate the place I was in through the good people I was with, fostering and emboldening the way I value community. For reference, Morden and Winkler are fairly close. Only like 7 or 8 minutes if you drive with confidence, 10 to 15 if you follow this funny little thing called the Highway Traffic Act. I have a strong connection with people from both. However, I'll focus on my Winkler group, which isn't where I'm from, but it definitely feels like home, more so than Morden. I am a part of a group called Pathway Young Adults, and I go to church with Pathway Community Church, the young adults group being connected to the church. I came there with Terry Ann, a leader at one of my youth groups called Youth for Christ, and at Pathway Young Adults, I met Josh and Dylan. For the majority of my life, I didn't have any male role models, as most of my teachers and guidance counselors were female, and my dad wasn't exactly a peak person to base myself off of. Having Josh and Dylan to be male mentors was very helpful, and within small groups with them, I learned how to value self as a construct, as well as learn to lean on others when I couldn't quite handle it myself. I believe it to be important to exemplify community as a paramount value, especially within the classroom. If a student has no one else to talk to, no shoulder to lean on, I'm speaking from experience, it's super easy to feel desolate and hopeless. Josh and Dylan provided that shoulder and experience to lean on and base myself off of. And I intend to enforce myself to a higher standard to ensure community is present in the classroom. The pictures you're seeing here are Josh, Tyrianne, and Dylan. This picture of Josh is at my baptism, where he came up there when I felt called to come up, impromptu style. This is the place where I was raised, and even though the divorce brought some awful memories, I refuse to let that overtake the good ones. This picture is from Google Earth, as I kind of felt it would be a little creepy to take a picture of a stranger's house. This house is where me and my brothers grew up. This house is where I spent the most time with my dog. And even though this house isn't my house anymore, I still recognize and appreciate the fact that it has been my home for longer than anywhere else. I think that the main reason, though, that I can't let bad memories cloud the good ones is this cutie. Isn't he great? His name is Thor. It's becoming more and more common that children come from strenuous and difficult homes, and it is our jobs as teachers to make a separation, so a child can come to school and feel safe, even if they don't always at home. Another important thing to make apparent in the classroom is that, like in my experience, there are good and bad times. There are also good and bad days, but no matter what happens, we need to separate the two, so we don't bring down the future with the past. We cannot let what happened today dictate our capabilities for tomorrow.